Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. Our message today, we are completing our 6-week journey, the heroic journey, answering the call. Stacy and I did the talk together to start it off, and I thought, well, let's bookend it. So I only had to write half a talk today, so we'll see, which I don't know how to do, so we'll see how we do on time. As I mentioned, and I could have given Gary a much more eloquent introduction. He is just an incredible artist. He has sung on stages all over the world, and now he's also led retreats. He just does amazing things. He's sung at all the great churches in our movement, Agape, Mile High, and he'll be doing their Christmas Eve services there. He's just an incredible artist. But isn't he? Thank you. But it was so great just having these last couple of days to get to know you as a man, as a brother. We shared so many similar things in our story. Both of us musicians at a young age in the fundamentalist Christian church, and being exiled from that movement that had nurtured and loved us was challenging for both of us. And we had this path, which really that's our hero's journey. All of us have something that takes us out of the normal world, the ordinary world where we know what it is, but something calls us on the call to adventure, it's called. And sometimes it comes as, I'm going to go do this thing, and sometimes it comes like, I'm no longer welcome here. Sometimes the call to adventure is a diagnosis or an unexpected death of a loved one. Sometimes that we are called out of the life in which we're comfortable, so that we can find a deeper truth of who we are. So this weekend, Gary and I wrote a new song. And you're not going to hear it yet. It's not quite there. But I will tell you, I feel like I got a brand new Cadillac. I am just like, it's just so beautiful. I love it so much. The interior is so nice. It's this thing that never existed on the planet. Friday, it wasn't even here. And yesterday, it emerged at my piano in my living room. And Gary started with a story I was sharing with him. I've shared it here in a sermon when a time I needed to know that I was going to be okay. And God showed up in a really interesting and miraculous way. And he heard that phrase, I'm going to be okay. And so I'm just going to share with you a little bit of the lyric. And he came up with this first part. I know I'm going to be okay. I've lived through everything I thought would break me. But get this, but love keeps finding ways to remake me. I know. I think they're going to buy the album. I think they are. Love keeps finding ways to remake me. I mean, we both just got chills, and we found this beautiful melody, and now more of the song has come. And this is the journey that we've survived 100% of the challenges we have faced in our lives, every one of us, or we wouldn't be here. And whatever we're going through now, whatever our current version of the heroic journey is, we're going to make it through. And I love the line, love keeps finding ways to remake me. And the remaking, the transformation, what's really being transformed is we're releasing the false self and revealing the true self. So I mentioned Gary and I both came from that fundamentalist Christian background. And I have a joke. Because I love a sermon joke. I think you all know this by now. And this is an oldie but a goodie, but I don't think I've shared it here for a long time, but it is a rerun. But it was like this. I don't even need the notes. I've told. A fundamentalist Christian minister decided that his community had gotten a little lax with the do's and the don'ts. And they were doing some of the don'ts. He had heard tell. So at the beginning of his sermon, he had a little table before the pulpit, and he had 3 jars. In one of those jars, he poured some whiskey. In another jar, he pours some tobacco that he had there. In another jar, he poured some chocolate syrup. And without saying a word, then he placed a single earthworm into each one of the jars and closed the lid. And then he preached a hellfire and damnation service on the evils of drinking and smoking and overindulging in sweets. It was really, he knew he had them. And he was explaining all of this. At the end of the sermon, he pulls out dead worms from all three of the jars. He said, now do you see, brothers and sisters, the importance of living a clean and holy life? Can you tell me what is the meaning of this demonstration today? And a sweet little church lady in the back, and she said, well, I guess, Pastor, that if you drink and you smoke and you eat chocolate, you won't get worms. I think that one was just for me, but thank you. I enjoyed that. So I'm going to talk about conformity and transformation. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Romans 12:2. And just the first part of it says this: do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I know we both tried to conform to the pattern of that fundamentalist teaching. We tried to make ourselves, I'll just speak for me now. I tried to make myself into what they needed me to be and expected me to be. And I worked at it. I worked hard. I did everything I knew to be what they told me I should be. But I was a gay kid. And they would love me and cherish me when I was singing my songs on Sunday, and then they would condemn and say horrible things about gay people. There was actually a man, our next door neighbor, once, not in the service, but in the fellowship hall, I heard him say, I think they all just need to be lined up and shot. And nobody disagreed with him. So it was unsafe for me. So I better conform. I better hide. I better try to be what they expect me to be. And my hero's journey came when I could no longer do it. The drive to be authentic overtook my need to be protected by those who I thought needed me to be a certain way. So, thank you. And the adventure began. My call to adventure on that hero's journey began with my life being completely turned upside down. All of the safety that I had from that faith community and the support of that tradition went away. I was an exile religiously. I was an exile spiritually. I no longer had a home. And through that process of leaving home, something began to happen. Something began to happen. I began to follow. Joseph Campbell is the guy that really kind of codified this idea of what we've been teaching of the heroic journey in his 1949 book, The Hero of a Thousand Faces. And he was talking to Bill Moyers, if you ever saw that PBS special from years ago. And this is what he said in that interview. He said, if you follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of a track that has been there in you all the while, waiting for you. And the life that you ought to be living becomes the one you are living. And when you can see that, then you begin to meet people who are in your field of bliss. Hello, bliss people. And they open doors to you. I say, follow your bliss and don't be afraid. And doors will open where you didn't know they were going to be. I was telling Stacy as we were working on this talk this week, I have a wall on the third floor of my townhouse that's outside my bedroom. It's got just photographs. I have photographs of my family. I have photographs of friends. I have photographs of myself in those family photos. And then I have one photo my mom gave me of me at about 5 years old. Oh, was he a sweet kid? He was. And he already learned it wasn't okay to want to play with his girl cousin's dolls. He already learned it was not okay. And so I began to edit and hide. And I could see it in that little kid's face at 5 years old. And then I saw that there's a family picture when I was 18 with my two brothers, and my older brother and his wife had just had their first baby, who's now 40 years old. And I was my hair was very Oral Roberts University conforming. And I had on my tweed blazer and my V-neck red sweater and my tie, and I could see, and I knew what was going on in that kid's life at that moment. It was all coming apart. But I was trying so hard. And so as I'm looking at these photographs, I'm filled with compassion for that younger self that was so scared, terrified of what life might be without that church and that religion supporting me. Terrified, but knowing I had to be who I am. We did it at Big Sky a few years ago. Linda, you were probably there. Greg Montana did a process with us called soul virtue, heart virtue. And we spent all week working all these different processes, and we all come up with 2 words that he said, these are your heart virtues. These are the things that no matter what happens in your life, they're the most important values for you. And mine are compassion and authenticity. And it has saved my butt, frankly, that I can only tell a lie for so long. And telling the truth. What's that thing we say, tell the truth and shame the devil? What is that? But there's something about, it's the first step of recovery to admit that we are powerless over this thing we've been trying to control and do. And that was always the entry point for some new way to be born in us. And I'm looking at the photographs, and I have this group of friends that I've had since my freshman year at Oral Roberts University. They're still they're my family too. And I was thinking of the fellowship of the ring. That's my fellowship of the ring. In the Campbell quote, he said, we will call into our experience, into our field of bliss, people that will help us find the truth of who we are, support us on the journey. It feels miraculous to me that I found this tradition called the New Thought tradition, which is so inclusive, so supportive of the different ways human beings show up. And I was singing in a bar in Dallas, Texas, following my bliss, I guess, with a vodka between each shift, but that's a different thing. And a minister came in and asked me to sing at his church in Dallas, Texas. And I came into this teaching. I just so needed to be transformed by the renewing of my mind. My mind was so filled with self-criticism, self-doubt, shame that had been heaped upon me by the fundamentalist faith I grew up in and the family I grew up in. And I love them all. And this teaching began to offer me a different way of seeing myself, that I am not broken, that I am whole. It's only taken about 35 years to get to be where I am today. I always say that I'm a really quick learner except about anything that matters. This process continues. My journey continues. I continue to discover old pockets of false beliefs that keep me small. But I am following that bliss. I am drawing into my experience the companions that I need for this journey. And that does mean you. That does mean you. I'm so grateful you have come into my life. It's so beautiful. I got to meet his husband, Danny, I've actually met him here years ago, but it's just wonderful, wonderful lives that we have both made for ourselves. I'm so grateful. And on that note, may I introduce Reverend Stacy Collins.
Well, I love what you said, Reverend Michael, about this idea that the transformation comes in a different way of seeing ourselves. Because we've all been handed stories, and we've taken on these stories, and sometimes we're carrying them consciously, sometimes unconsciously we're walking around with these stories that are running. But where we have the power is in the power of choice. Which stories do we want to perpetuate and fan and nurture and keep going in our lives, and which ones are better laid aside? That's where our power is. So I want to speak to you a little bit about, last week I spoke about the sacred return, and we come back with an elixir and a treasure, and I found a treasure this week that I wanted to bring to y'all. It is a new word for me, and it was a word from one of my favorite spiritual teachers and speakers, Rob Bell, and I thought, I'm a recent graduate of ministerial school. I'm pretty familiar. I may not know all the spiritual words, but this one was new to me, and I thought, well, if it's new to me, maybe it's new to y'all. And the word is this: unpigeonholable. Now, There's a reason maybe that was a new word for me. So Rob was on a podcast called Midlife Chrysalis. Doesn't that sound cool? I invite you to check that out. Some of you might be familiar. And at the end of this particular podcast, the host asks the people to say, if you had to put a bumper sticker, like to describe you, a bumper sticker word or phrase, what sums you up? And that's what I love about Rob. He's like, well, you can't sum me up, come on, because I'm unpigeonholable. So he's kind of defying the thing in itself. And I look at this on this hero's journey that provides us this map of transformation that speaks to the way that humans have learned and transformed and healed through the power of story, through the power of going through obstacles, but by not thinking our way out of things, but feeling our way through them when we have the bravery to do so. So when we speak about that, this is what we're talking about with this heroic journey. The quest isn't so much a quest to vanquish enemies, overcome obstacles, slay external dragons. It's a quest to know of our own innate wholeness already and to come home to that truth and live life from that place. Live life with those new eyes, to take all the ways that we may have pigeonholed ourselves or may have been pigeonholed, because pigeonholes are lovely. I don't want to give them a bad name, but they're for pigeons. I look out here and I don't see any pigeons. Yeah, congratulations. You're a human being. They're lovely. Maybe next life you'll be a pigeon, I don't know. But they live in these little nooks and crannies, and we can, if we take on stories that diminish us, if we give power to those stories, if we don't learn to extricate ourselves from places where we are not safe, either psychologically, physically, we are invited to move externally. And yet, there's also the internal movement that is just as powerful. Just as powerful. So the quest for the hero then becomes what? And I think there are two reasons that we want to go on this quest, and I believe you all are on it or you wouldn't be here today. Not just because of this series that we're doing, but because something within you has yearned for, has sought, has experienced this in your own inner being. That there is more to life than the adjectives, all the adjectives in the world can be used to describe you. There's more to life than all the roles that you have played up until now. No matter your age, no matter your circumstance, no matter your physical expression, there is more to be revealed. And this is the beauty in the heroic journey, is this knowledge that we're not on a quest to be made whole. We're on a quest to know that we've been whole the whole time. Yeah? And the other piece of that is that we don't just hold I just figured out I'm made whole. See y'all. I'm going to go off on an island and retire now. You're good? Yeah. The idea is that we bring this back to community. And this is the power of spiritual community, and this is the power of sharing our stories with one another, is that I get to say, let me tell you about my wilderness moment. Let me tell you about the time I was parched in the desert moment. And not that when we don't judge one another, we say, oh, I've been there too. I've seen that too, because as sure as we are already whole, as sure as we are always and forever an expression of the infinite, the one life, one presence, one power, there's always more to unfold if we are willing to be unfolded. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a willingness to be unfolded. You don't have to see the next step on how you're going to do it. Just a willingness. I'm willing. I'm willing for the infinite expression of divine life to express through me in new ways that I could not have possibly imagined. And I know that you all have experienced this. And I love that Gary Lynn Floyd is here today. That music was so powerful in the choir. And Reverend Michael's going to share a song because I begged him to. And there's something about music that can crack our hearts open in a way and to allow us to accept that love, to express that love that we are, that we might not always be able to do in a conversation. Because it's not about being up here. It's about being in our bodies. It's about being able to fully feel. And it's interesting that Michael shared this lyrics, and I can't wait to hear that song. It sounds beautiful. But I was listening to one of my favorite praise songs this morning. It's kind of an unconventional praise song. It's by a band called Joseph. And the person that wrote the song, she's talking about this idea that she had kind of cut herself off from her spiritual life, but there was something that she still felt was pulling her. She was missing it. And she put it into these words. She says, once you know something, you can't unknow it. Once you feel the buzz of that lightning strike, once you see something, you can't unsee it. You've never been happier to lose a fight. And the fight that she's talking about losing is this resistance to our own divine expression. Believe it or not, that's what keeps us small. I couldn't do that. I can't be that big. I can't show up that way. What will people think? What will people do? If I'm suddenly different than the person that they've learned that they can count on to do everything for them, and then I stop, well, then who am I? Right? So there's this idea too, where I believe when Jesus says this in John 12:24, he says, unless a single grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. So when you let go of who you thought you should be, or you let go of all those stories that are keeping you small, constricted, and you learn to include all of yourself, because there's nothing God's holding outside. Say, I love all of you except for that part, because you are an expression. You're an expression of the infinite, formless, changeless, deathless, eternal that needed to pour itself into a form just like you. So this is what I want to kind of leave you with today, is this knowing. I don't like to say for certain and get up here and this is the way. But there is one thing that I am completely and utterly to my core certain of, is that you, every single one of you, are right on time. Right on time. You are. That the divine in you is right on time. That it is unfolding in you exactly as it needs to in this moment. So all of those things that you think you need in order to be whoever it is you think you need to be, you have it already, honey. You have it. If you just allow yourself to accept it, allow yourself to be loved. And one of the things I love so much about this community is that there are people that will hold you in that as well. There are people, this is what we do here. We nurture and empower each other and transforming our lives, and we serve the world. Because when we transform our lives, when we're willing to see ourselves in wholeness, when we're willing to have compassion for ourselves, then we meet the whole world that way. And the world's asking for it, honey, for all of us to do it. There are no sideline players. You get to get off the bench and do this thing with us. And so at this time, I'd like to ask Reverend Michael.
I thought you were going to beg.
No, you see what he's like. So to sing us a song that he wrote, and I'll maybe let him talk about that, and then we're going to go into prayer together. I invite you just to listen.
And my iPad is not wanting to cooperate for this moment, but it'll be okay. We're good. I wrote this song 3 years ago out of a dark moment, out of a moment where I felt I was inadequate. I felt like I wasn't bringing enough to this job that was needed from me, and I felt, like maybe I didn't have all that you needed me to be. That lie has stayed with me all these years, and in a moment of being broken open by the pain of that, this song emerged. I turn it over, I surrender, I let go of my fear, I release, and I remember your love is always here. Use all of me. Use all of me. All of me. God, use all of me. All my gifts, all my wounds, me. I turn it over, I surrender, I let go of this fear, and I release, and I remember your love is always here. Use all of me, God, use all of me. Take my life, take my dreams, take my lies, take everything. Use all of me, all of me, for good, for good, for good.
Would you pray with me? Although we've all just been invited into a holy, holy prayer, God, use all of me. Divine life, use all of me, just as I am here today. Let my life, may all my uniqueness, all my quirks, all the things I'd rather not be a part of my personality, all the things I celebrate, all of them enfolded into what it means to express that one life as me. For each and every person, the sound of my voice, you do this in a unique and beautiful way. The divine had a need of exactly you to express itself in this world. So what I know and affirm are all the places in our lives, whether they be things that we celebrate or things that we'd rather keep hidden, or things that we are appreciated by others, or things that are gone on unseen. Nothing is unseen in the light of the divine. And so the divine uses all of it. And all we need to do is to make it welcome, allow it to infuse our body so that we may be expression of this one life, this one light. And so it is. Amen. Thank you all. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.